Yes, let us begin with the invocation. Saraswati Namastabhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hari Om. Can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? Yes, please. Anybody? Can someone recollect anything that we saw last?
Krishna talks about the four types of seekers and says that among all these types of seekers, the one dearest to me is the one who, with single-minded devotion, is in communion with me.
Ji.
And after many births, one gets the rare experience of perceiving the divine with the mortal eyes. And most seekers are misled and by their desires. They worship demigods in the process to fulfill their desires.
Worship the devas with their desires. Desire
Or
means on the spiritual mark also they get trapped in desires. Yes.
so Krishna says that he fulfills these through whichever form the seekers are worshipping. He fulfills them, but that is it is a fleeting. It's not that permanent oneness.
Because of its
It cannot
foundation
be
is temporary. Base is driven by desire only.
desire
Yeah.
only. So to attain oneness with the Krishna, one has to be uh, single-mindedly devoted to him with full Shraddha and Smaran.
Ji.
And even Krishna is perfect and imperishable, but ignorant minds cannot conceive it.
Yeah. Understand
They,
or recognize the presence of a divine.
because of the veil of Maya covers
Yeah.
their.
So I'm not getting profits, so God is not there. I'm not getting good returns for my actions. That means God does not exist. Yes.
So that's why Krishna says, even though I know the past, present, and future of all the beings, I am not perceived by
Yeah.
the people.
Everybody don't know the means our Aradhya is waiting for us to understand him. It's like a
Because they
beloved
are
one
all,
is waiting with like somebody will understand sometime. Something like that. Yeah.
and
Yes.
he says that for experiencing liberation, um, you have to seek refuge in him and uh, with total devotion. And even at the time of death, if you remember him, he gives you mukti.
Yeah. Absolutely, Jia. And beautifully summarized. Wonderfully done, Vinitaji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now we enter into 8th Adhyay. Something interesting has happened. Krishna has mentioned the word death and the final moment. So one interesting thing about death is we've all heard about it, but we know that it happens only to other people. It is something not connected with us at all. But unfortunately, Arjuna's situation is not like that. He is now in a Kurukshetra, which is also a Mrityu Kshetra. It is appearing to be that only. Everybody is with a desire to kill. They're all having weapons. And what we can say, it is blaring. Mortality, the question of mortality is the thing that drove him into depression. The loss of, or the perceived loss that drove Arjuna into sorrow. What was going to happen? Mrityu is a topic which generally shakes everybody. Personally, in my life also, that was a thing. First, I lost a friend of mine who was a badminton player. He had gone in some floods, he got carried away, which was crazy to recognize also. That time it shook me, but I was not fully aware. But then when it happened quite uh, like to my grandfather, then my grandmother, one after the other, and it was all like they were old, they were senior, but they were always expected to be there. How is it that they are going? This was something which I did not understand. And so that was where my questioning started. So sometimes the question of death shakes a person. Arjuna also, till now he was asking questions about logic. Till now he was, oh, how do I believe? No, 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 tell me this. But right now Krishna has talked about mukti, he's talked about prayana kala, he's talked about smaran, helping a person in the prayana kala to attain mukti. All of this sounds beyond Arjuna's understanding, and suddenly inside of him a question has arisen. So I would ask everybody to just look at Arjuna's question and tell me if it is the same type of question like how Arjuna was asking earlier, right from the beginning. Yat kim karmani ghore mam, or he says, tell me yat shreya syana nishchitam bruhitanvi, or just tell me what is shreyas, tell me what is right. Don't talk about both sides. Tanme bruhi sunishchitam. He says, tell me clearly. Like that, Arjuna was saying, how can I believe? How can I believe that you have taught Manu and at first you have taught the Surya directly and then Vivaswan taught Manu? How can I understand that you were the one afterwards? You were saying something. So these are all what we call skeptical questions. So many. He says, Krishna says, quiet your mind, balance. He says, what windless place lamp you're talking about? My mind is the wind. Now come on, how do I grab the wind in my hand? So everywhere Krishna was saying, Arjuna was somewhere countering, though with sincerity. Because last time was Yoga Brashta also. He asked a question, last question, which we saw also about Yoga Brashta. He said, no, no, Krishna, you must answer all my questions. There also Shraddha was visible because you only can answer those questions. Because I have faith that you will answer them. So that Shraddha element was not missing. But the question's direction was slightly towards skepticism. Now let us look at Arjuna's question. Arjuna Uvacha. You see, the last shloka was said by Krishna. He said, Sadhibhutam Adi Devam Adi Yajnam Chaye Viduhu. Learn about this, is what Krishna is saying. Understand this. Krishna has told these words. The same words become the base of the questions of Arjuna in this Adhyay. Adhyay 8, he says, Arjuna Uvacha. Kim tad Brahma, kim adhyatmam, kim karma purushottama, adibhutam cha kim proktam, adidaivam kim uchyate. So tell me, Krishna, Arjuna is saying, what is this perception that is known as Brahma? What can be truly termed as a self's karma? What phenomenon dominates the material coexistence? Oh Krishna, who was the first god that came into existence? Who is this Adi Deva? Krishna, tell me. Tell me of the truth about the divinity in this material coexistence. How is it possible? What is that phenomenon that is dominating there? What is this Brahma? And what is the karma of the divine? What is all of this? He's asking. We'll look at a second question because there are two shlokas continuously. It is a interesting question connected with the second shloka. Adi yajnah katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana प्रयाणकाले च कथम नेयोसि नियतात्मभिः. What is this Adi Yajna? He says, what is the first sacrifice? What was the first sacrifice in the physical? Oh Krishna, how was it in the embodied being practical? At the time of the of death, where does the soul further go? Your existence is truth. How can one really know? So it says, how can I fully understand your truth, the existence of the divine? How can I recognize you? Is there any difference in Arjuna's bhava or the style of questioning at the moment? Anybody? If yes, what is it? If no, otherwise your opinion. Why is it not? Yes, anybody? Oh Krishna, how can I understand about your existence? Oh
I believe
Krishna.
that
Yeah.
Arjuna is
Yes.
asking the right question now. So yesterday in the chapter we saw that Krishna said that I'm everyone's friend. I know everything, but no one knows me completely. So now, like, so how we can know a friend by asking or by trying to understand. So like that's what he's trying to do now.
Yeah,
So it's more of a,
okay.
like on the correct direction.
Okay.
So
All
what do you
right.
think?
Okay, Joji has said nicely that yes. So we've understood. Hare Krishna wants it to be understood. So let me try to understand. That is how Arjuna is. Okay. Yes, but the bhava of the question, isn't it? Is it like a skeptic's question? Is there skepticism here?
No,
No. So this
I
is what
think
we
there is
can.
more
Yeah,
curiosity here.
Yeah,
there
he's
is more
genuinely curious
curiosity,
now.
genuinely
Wants to learn.
curious. Yes, this Adhyay marks a turn in Arjuna. This is an important turn from a skeptic to the sadhak. Because the skeptic, what does skeptic do? Skeptic finds faults,
Doubt,
isn't it?
doubt.
Yeah, doubts. But something is there. No, this is not right. That is missing. But a sadhak is the one who is learning and progressing and growing, trying to understand, trying to know, and trying to know what little is known and what little remains to be known also. Many times, skeptic goes in a different direction. If Shraddha is the base, skeptic also will get transformed when the realization comes. But this is important. It's like going into a park. What will you seek in the park? The flowers, the ambience. You'll see wonderful people walking around, or you might go with your close, near, or dear one. You would want to enjoy that time in the park. That is why you go there. But when you go as a skeptic, what will you do there? You will not enjoy anything. Say, see, that dog is there. Nobody is taking care. Look at those flowers. They're all removed. This is not put properly. That is not. Only that is the focus of a skeptic. So right now, Arjuna's questions are going to become like the sadhak's questions. They're going to get deeper. He is probably going to touch closest to the truth. And so we are all going to get benefited from it. Let us see. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं स्वभावोऽध्यात्ममुच्यते भूतभावो भूतभावो भवकरो विसर्गः कर्म संज्ञितः. Sri Krishna answered, the formless infinite is Brahma. It is thus perceived, and the immortal self's existence in nature is conceived. So, what is Krishna saying? He's saying, this is Brahma. What is Brahma? The formless infinite. That is Brahma, is what Krishna is saying. It is thus perceived. Perceived by whom? Perceived by the sadhaks, perceived by the Vedic rishis, by all of them. And the immortal self's existence in nature is thus conceived. This is again negating the fact that there is no divine in this Srishti. Anandamayam jagadidam sarvam parabrahmanam avartitam Mayapi Parabrahma Prasantasya Santarupinam. This Mayavi Vishwa also, which many times we dismiss. Many people say, I want moksha. I'm enough of this world. As if saying that is going to guarantee you are going to get it. But you have to realize the divinity present in the Srishti also. That is a challenge. Many times that is the most difficult thing. How can I say divinity? Sometimes it's so impossible. Vasudevam Sarvamiti, how can I? One person said, in this apartment system, there's this person living. You also know that person. Now you are saying that is Krishna. You will not be able to see on the surface, isn't it? But Krishna's consciousness works through that person also. The same person who once called me terrorist, the same person is now helping in one wonderful project of cleaning up the city. That same person is doing such wonderful work and sending messages to people as well. So how is it possible? Again, consciousness makes everything, isn't it? So what should you do? You should not look at the outer form. Oh, that person has come again, so let us. This person should not come anywhere near. If you do that, what you are going to create a bhed only. So the existence of the divine in the Srishti is conceived. It is something which the realized souls understand that the divine is present in this Vishwa as well. What is the sacrifice then? The sacrifice made at the moment of formation is the self's karma performed for every being's creation. Krishna is saying this is the yajna. Yajna of what? Of the divine. We had heard it, isn't it? In the previous shlokas, in the previous adhyayas, that this Srishti, what is Brahma, has created the Srishti with a principle. You have all originated from Yajna. Through Yajna, you will prosper. Yajna means sacrifice. No pain, no gain. Nityam Yagne Pratishthitam. This entire Srishti is in a state of sacrifice. And Srishti's creation itself was a sacrifice. But how? Anybody? What possibly could the God have sacrificed in creating Srishti? Anybody? Yes. What could be the sacrifice of Brahma or the Creator? Yes. Can someone guess what could be the sacrifice? The all powerful, formless, has now taken form. The one who is beyond everything, beyond rules, has now created Prakriti full of rules. He's like a boxer who's a champion, is now entering boxing ring and tying his hands behind. Now I'm not going to this. I'm going to tie my hands behind and enter into that boxing. Something like that. This Srishti also from what? From the Akshara came the Shara Vishwa. An undestroyable consciousness created in you creation that was destroyable, fraught with fault, the perfect, but what we say, the Parama, greatest truth, greatest consciousness has now descended and created what? All different people of different shape and different levels of consciousness. So this was a sacrifice. This was a sacrifice made by Brahma. Krishna goes on. This was made at the time of creation, is what he is saying. Yes, Kalpana, you want to say
Not
something?
understood.
Not
Yeah,
understood,
not
Kalpana.
understood. What is that?
Okay. Now my question is, who can become weak, Kalpana ji? If you look at it this way, no? Sri Aurobindo has said in his Upanishad, this is a very nice analogy we can use. Who can become weak, or who can say, I have become weak?
One who is strong
Only
earlier.
one who is
Right.
strong, isn't it? So only the strong can understand the meaning of weakness. But when the strong consciously chooses to become weak, isn't that it is not downgrade, it isn't that degradation. If a weak person tries to become more weak, what is going to happen? The weak person will perish, no, ultimately. So the one who is most powerful, only that person has a choice. It's like saying, I didn't win Olympic medal. So I never participated. There was no chance for me to win. But an Olympic champion goes and participates. Oh, I just missed. It makes a difference. Something like that. The divine has, in what is divine? Divine is Ananda, isn't it? Ananda is that ultimate bliss we call Satchidananda. Satya, Ruta, Brahats, whatever Trinity is there of highest consciousness. In that lie. Suddenly, from that light, there was a descent. Something stirred inside. That descent brought about creation. In creation, is there Ananda? We do so much sadhana. Give me one drop of Ananda, Bhagwan. We pray for that only because we just need at least a trickle. A moment of Ananda feels so important for us because there's a distortion of Ananda here on the Bhuloka. That same Ananda, it's like how white light splits, isn't it? Inside of a prism. It passes through and we get all the colors. So like that, we have happiness, pain, darkness, light, love, everything, a full khichdi of everything. From where? From that highest consciousness. So something has happened. Some, what we can say, fall, or we can in Sanskrit, patanam, something is called the fall of consciousness. Now, isn't that a sacrifice?
Yeah.
That is what Kalpana ji can be considered as a sacrifice at the time of creation. Shivananda in his Upanishad has beautifully given a beautiful analogy of the same about Ananda and Nirananda. Both are, it's like shadow and light, a play of light and shadow is taking place, something like that. Let us continue. Krishna goes on. Adibhutam ksharo bhavaha purushashchadidaivatam adiyagno ahamevatra dehe deha bhrutam chvara. Perishable is the nature of the material coexistence. Shara Vishwa, that is the truth, isn't it? Anuradha is asked which chapter? 8th chapter, shloka number 4. So, perishable, this is the Shara Vishwa. All of us are also part of the Shara Vishwa, isn't it? So, what that is what? It is transient. So, that is why all the more it is special, also, isn't it? The little moments that we get, the little moments with our friends, little moments of happiness, they are special. Sometimes God also is very seeking. The gods also pine to come. They take human birth, it is said. For this is a speciality of our existence also. So Krishna says this perishable is the nature of the material coexistence. Means this is a truth. I may say I don't want to perish, but some a time will come, isn't it? पल दो पल का मैं शायर हूँ पल दो पल मेरी कहानी है. There was a beautiful song. It is something like that. I am there. Tomorrow better poets will come. Tomorrow my poems will be surpassed. Somebody will reach higher state. I cannot simply just think that I am eternal. I may have a will that is eternal and which will be. We are inheriting the will of our Sanatan yogis and rishis, isn't it? The Vedic rishis' will is still alive and burning. That is what is driving us into the scripture also. Whether or not we are fully aware of it, we are inheritors of that will. This we don't need some advocate to read out to us that you have received this will. This will come from the heart directly, and that will be connected. So this is there, Krishna says. So perishable is the nature, that is the truth. I may say I want to remain young, I'll permanently, I can do that maybe for some more years I can say. Then afterwards hair will start turning more grey. Then what can I do? Some will say, no, I'll color it. I will not. But while I'm coloring, I will see, no, I'll know that. So that is the truth, no matter what. But the heart can always remain young, isn't it? That way, that is the heart of a spirit of a person. I've seen 80-year-old people behave like really 18 or 20s, no, that much energy. And I've seen my own colleagues, they're behaving like they're in their 90s. I've stopped walking. I'm now panting just by walking a little bit on the beach. Because it is the spirit. That is the thing. That's all. But truth is perishable nature of our existence. That is why we have to become conscious as soon as we can. That is why we cannot waste our time. That is why whatever time we have, let us not, sacrifice our swadharma. Let us recognize it. Let us become conscious of it. The first God is the omniscient transcendental existence. So the first God is that God who is the omniscient one, all knowing, that transcending consciousness, that existence that's transcending everything. And the first sacrifice is my dwelling in all physical beings or species. And I am also the receiving Lord of all their sacrifices. So Krishna says, see, it is my entry. Means another example that we are recognizing that this soul or the Atman, it is a direct entry of the divine. Of which divine? That supreme consciousness. Means if you just try to visualize it, it becomes very crazy if you are able to, understand the marma. The same consciousness which created the Srishti, that same consciousness is also inside of us. Yogis realized it. That is why they said Swatma Ramoham, Soham Asmi, Chidananda Rupah, Shivoham, Shivoham. All these were sakshatkars. Sakshatkar of what? Of the presence of the divine, and that divine is present inside of us. Most of the time, we think he is present elsewhere. Not here. Not here. This is the place inside. That is why sometimes it is said, touch your heart and feel the spandan of the heartbeat. The same spandan originated once upon a time, which created the great Brahmanad, which created the Srishti. Ekoham Bahusyami. And suddenly there was consciousness and spread. It started from a spandan, and that spandan is the spandan of life. That rhythm of life is resonating inside of us also. Each one of us. It is said even the physical heart has been, Krishna silently whispers to that heart, you have to beat these many times in this birth. So every heart knows how many times. We don't know that. So this is the presence. The divine is there, is what Krishna says. He goes on. And I am receiving all the sacrifices. Many times we do some sacrifices, nobody is there, nobody is looking at it. What is this? Who is going to look after? What is going to happen? No, the receiver is the divine. He is conscious. And that is going, whether or not we recognize it. Krishna goes on. Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram yah prayati samat bhavam Yati nastyatra samshayaha. Now Krishna talks about the prayana kala. He says, whoever while leaving the body remembers me at the time of death, if he can thus focused be, of traversing the unknown realms, he shall have no fear. And to the Supreme, my consciousness will take him near. This is interesting. So when we do sadhana, it is not for time pass that we are doing sadhana. We are cultivating what? A consciousness of what? Of that same divine. And that is what Krishna is saying. He says, whoever while leaving the body is remembering me at the time of death, if he can thus focused be, of traversing the unknown realms, he shall have no fear. And to the Supreme, my consciousness will take him near, like a chumbak or a magnet attracts iron pieces, no? The consciousness inside of you that you have already cultivated by your tapasya, that will be attracted towards the supreme consciousness. He says that consciousness will only take you and you will have no fear also of that unknown dream. That is what Krishna is saying for that person who is having the smaran in the last moments. That we have understood in the last class we discussed. How can we identify? Nobody knows last moment. So then always remember the divine. Many will say, what a boring idea it is all the time, all the time. How can I remember the divine? Because it requires a grit, no, it requires a determination to have continuous smaran of the divine. But normally, last moment actually defines how a person is many times. The caliber and the sadhana of the person is revealed in the last moment. I've seen one person so calm, so peaceful in his last moment. He actually, my mother had gone to see him. He said, I am passing. And he was as if we all knew he was very serious, and his medical condition was not good. He was what we call in his last moments only. But his quietude was it was so nice. And he said, I am passing. And then he even told the spelling Passing. It was all breaking. Wow, how can he be so calm and so peaceful? But otherwise, many people in their last moments, they are still having only a bundle of desires in the last moment also. The same desires only dominate a person, or there is anxiety, there is fear. No, 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 I don't want to leave, or this property should not go to that person. I am going to see to that. that kind of dialogue also comes out in the last minute only. Or there are people who are very calm and peaceful, so calm and peaceful that the last moment actually is like that japa of Mrityunjay mantra. Very quietly, they are experiencing the release. That japa of this Triambakeshwar's mantra, that mantra, Mrityunjay mantra, is actually lived by some people. Very calm and peaceful, and that does not create a fiction. Has anybody seen some people who are very calm in their final moments? If yes, can someone just share something so that we can probably understand from the experience? Yes, anybody? Something, whatever you recollect.
Yeah, I have seen my father.
Okay,
Uh,
Rajni ji,
he-
yes, ma'am. Who is speaking?
I,
It is Raj. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
I have seen my father. He was holding my hand
Ji.
and he just said, Beta, you have so many work. You go, I will lie a little bit peacefully. As soon
Ah,
as I came out of the room, it means I felt a pin drop silence
ah,
and my heart little bit duck like this. And I
ji.
saw my father, he passed away.
Okay. And he was in full peacefulness, ji.
Full,
Oh,
fulfill means he was so detached with everything that means uh, he left my hand also.
oh, ji, ji, ji.
I was only, I am the only means daughter to him.
Okay,
He used to
ji.
always ask me, Beta, will you be with me always? Yes, Kaka, I will be with you. But
Ha, ha.
this incident means it is really, really means one thing is that at the age of 90, he passed very peacefully. But
Ji.
somehow, how you are telling our loved ones, if they pass, we feel very
Yeah.
means
Yes.
thing and like that.
Painful.
But when
Yes.
I sit alone and think of that, then I think that God is great. He has
Ji.
lived life very nicely. And
Ji, ji. Yes,
real
Maji. Hari.
Hari Om.
Ji. Hari Om ji. One small question, Maji. Your father was he a very spiritual person or Shanta? How was his
No,
personality that?
his first personality when I was young, school going, college going, that time he was very means क्या बोले मेरी इंग्लिश इतनी अच्छी नहीं है फिर भी मैं
हाँ, कोई बात नहीं. हिंदी also चलेगी. Yes,
तो
please.
वो ऐसे बहुत he means he was deputy collector and he was
हाँ.
all powers in his hand. He
Okay.
he worked under British Raj also, and after
Okay ji.
independence he worked in government of India with all types of posts,
Ji.
additional magistrate and then land acquisition officer and district officer, all these posts he hold. But he was
Ji.
but after retirement,
Hmm.
he joined the Belur Math.
Oh.
Belur Math,
Okay.
he
Ji. Ji.
means he read each and everything, Upanishad, etc. And he used to
हाँ.
tell me many things, Nachiketa, but my buddhi is not
हाँ. हाँ.
that
जी, जी. नहीं,
calculated
नहीं.
थी.
हाँ.
तो वो हमेशा मुझे बोलते थे बेटा यू हैव भक्ति बट यू डोंट हैव ज्ञान. मैं बोले ओके नहीं तो नहीं, चलो जो है उतना ही बस है मेरे लिए.
हाँ.
तो और बाद में वो बहुत चेंज हो गए और
जी, जी.
बहुत ही चेंज हो गए. तो
ओके.
आई नो. और
जी.
तो कभी कभी वो जब मेरे से डिस्कस करते थे तो
हाँ.
कभी मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि उनको कुछ बातों में विश्वास है, कुछ बातों में विश्वास नहीं है. तो
हाँ.
आफ्टर डेथ व्हाट शुड डू. आप 12 दिन करते हैं, ब्राह्मण भोजन करते हैं बार
हाँ.
12 दिन में ऐसा. तो आई वॉज कंफ्यूज आफ्टर हिज डेथ व्हाट टू डू,
जी.
व्हाट टू. देन आई
जी.
डिसाइड then I decided whatever Vedic things are there, I will do for him. बस
जी. जी.
बाकी
जी.
नहीं करूंगी. I saw that.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Maji, for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maji. Thank you. Hariom. Yes. So, what a beautiful experience. And again, you see the Belur Math connection. So, Adhyatmik sadhana is there. So, when you are doing Adhyatmik sadhana, slowly all the bandhanas, no, they dissolve. They don't break or they don't tear. What happens when you break? It hurts, no? When things break. But when it dissolves, it happens very beautifully. It happens naturally. And so one by one, and then they get the experience that shanti and quietude. Normally, a person will be afraid of the unknown. But here there's a peace, there's a quietude. One participant, Raghaviji, her mother shared her experience of her grandmother. So Raghavji's mother was also there in the batch. So that time she spoke about, she said, my grandmother, she came to me and she said, my Vimana has come. She actually said that my Vimana has come, and that was her last moment. She said it was a Vaikuntha Ekadashi day. Her grandmother was a very pious and sincere woman who did not get a chance to go to all the different places for pilgrimage. So she would do all the kriyas in her house with full bhakti, full shraddha only. So that day also, Vaikuntha Ekadashi day, a lot of people had come. So she served everything. She did all their duties. And after finishing, after doing all those duties, she came and she said, my Vimana has come. And that was her last moment. She saw something. She says, I cannot forget that particular moment. It was such a special day, plus the auspiciousness of the day and all of it. Like one more, I had shared one example of Kusumben of this ashram of Sri Aurobindo Ashram Pondicherry. She actually invited all the people. Actually, when my sister was called, my sister's age is so less. She's in her 90s. My sister is even 2 years younger than me. And my sister already felt Kusumen has called. Something is weird. She came and told Guruji, I'm not feeling good about this. She's called for evening, food and snacks. Never do, others don't do all of this, no? They never call people. And she has already dedicated her life for sadhana. Why has she called her? She didn't understand. But when she went, she saw there were so many people of different ages. So correctly, she called only those people whom she had somehow connected on the soul level. It was as if saying a good farewell to everybody. And my sister said she touched the back. Khana acha laga? Did you like it? She's gone, met everyone. As if she did not want to leave even little bit of Rona. We all have debts when in life, when we meet people, and sometimes those debts we feel, how do we repay? So that also the yogi does not have. All who were nice, she greeted them one last time nicely, and then in the night she passed away, quiet in a sleep only. It was unexpected. Nobody even imagined. And she was always detached. And she was always very senior because she had even joked. जब जब लोग आते मुझे पूछते अभी भी तुम यहीं हो? Are you still here? She would joke about that also. But she was so perfect. So this death does not trouble a person who has surrendered to the divine. There is no fear. That fear comes for somebody who is afraid of losing something. When you're not, what's going to happen? Nothing, nothing. You are sincere, living or right path, righteously doing everything with sincerity. One need not have fear. Krishna goes on. यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भाव भावितः. Oh Arjuna, when the physical body one leaves, at the time of departure, whatever one believes, that idea which is strong in his final contemplation, he takes that form and object of his imagination. So, what is there in the chit, what we can say chit, or what is there in the consciousness, that only because Sharir is left behind, isn't it? Something else is moving. What is it? Nobody knows. We say spirit. One very senior neurologist, Dr. Sunil of Chipmar, he told me his experiences. I've seen so many patients. I've seen them in the ICU only. Normally, that is what he sees every day, so many patients. If something leaves the patient, and then we know we can't revive that person, but it's nothing in the physical. Monitors don't say it. Nothing else is vital signs are visible in the monitors. We can use machine and keep the person alive. But we know after this moment has taken place, something has disappeared. I know, but I don't know what that is. He was very sincere. He's close to retirement, but he says, I've not understood it, raising his hands completely. Because that is there. Something knows, something is there, and that is why consciousness, it makes a difference. That's why yogis say, no, think, always be in that state. Last moment when it has to come, let it come. No, whenever it has to come. We don't have to say, come, let it come now. It will come whenever it has to. We should aspire for the full life as much as we can. Full life completely. But in that full life, live consciously. That is important. And that is what Krishna is saying. Whatever is there in the consciousness, that takes the form. Arjuna also has to do that only, isn't it? When he gets into the battle of Yuddha also. Smaran of the divine. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, Krishna says. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Ma manusmara yuddha cha mai arpita mano buddhir. Mame vaishyasi asanshayah. Have no doubts. He says, if you are focused on the divine at all times, in all your battles, if your focus is on the divine, Krishna says you will become one without any doubt. He says, in all your battles and actions, let your insight be fixed. Upon me, let your mind and intellect be affixed. At all times, when you remember me constantly, O Arjuna, you shall then come to me certainly. Krishna says, then you will certainly come to me when at all times you are focusing. So that means is it only for Arjuna? It's for us also. We can follow that in our lives also. Remember at all times the divine you remember, then it's going to be fun actually. Life also will be fun. Forget afterlife. What is going to happen, or is it going to help because I'll get a better afterlife? That is also one more desire. Hey, this Janma I didn't get 5 BHK in Swargaloka, I must get. I will get registration done now only. That also some people have had desires and people have fooled people, you know. People have actually paid money in developed countries like America also. Indians only. Who else would have paid? They paid for they paid for getting a better afterlife. If you send money to this organization, you are going to get a better atmosphere or God knows what. So this is not why we are doing it. It is for that consciousness in our life at all times. When you're remembering the divine, your swear words also will become divine at that time because your consciousness is connected with the divine. You are scolding because Krishna is asking you to scold. It is not a reactionary frustration. Whatever action you are doing, speaking politely also invoke. Not because you want to say how goody goody I am or I want to convince everybody I am polite. Krishna is asking this. This is what is required. If you are able to have that, we can say Salokata. We saw the second stage of Mukti. First is Samipata, closeness. After you advance from closeness, you start living in communion, you start having dialogues. You are never alone. You are with the screen froze. Yeah, you're able to hear me, isn't it? I'll repeat the shloka again. Yes. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagaminā paramam purusham divyam yati partha chintayan. Oh Arjuna, by regulated efforts of consecration. What is consecration? Anointing everything for the divine, like Adi Shankaracharya said, Yad Yad Karma Karomi Tadakhilam Shambho Tavaradhanam. My every karma. Nidra also, Nidram Samadhi Sthiti. My sleeping also is a state of becoming conscious. So, like that, Krishna says every little action consecrated by regulated efforts of consecration with the devoted mind focused in concentration. Concentration is also an important kriya. Dhyana is required to improve your concentration. So, with concentration, consecration. When one practices yoga seeking the union divine, he merges into the supreme consciousness of mind. So, with devotion, concentration, and consecration, these are the three magic words for sadhana. These are the three words for becoming one with the divine. Krishna goes on, he says, Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Sam Anusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Adityavarnam Tamasa Parastat. The self, the supreme seer, the ancient and the most subtle one, the inconceivable being whose golden radiance surpasses the sun, the formless atomic form that holds everything material beyond darkness is the divine, refulgent, and ethereal. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Manoraniyams Anusmaredyaha. So this is the Kavi. Kavi is, we know Kavi as poet, isn't it? But in the Rig Veda or in Sanskrit, Kavi is more than a poet. Agni is also called the Kavi. Agni Devata, the first Sukta, Agnir Hota Kavi Kratuhu. Agni is the Hotar, Agni is the Kavi, Agni is the Kratu, the doer also who is doing the actions. So the one who is able to connect, the seer, we can equate it to the seer also. Drashta, something like that. So Krishna says, who is the divine? The divine is the Sarvadrashta, supreme one. The ancient one, the most subtle one also. And how is he? The inconceivable being whose golden radiance surpasses the sun. Next comes the interesting part. The formless atomic form that holds everything material beyond darkness is the divine, refulgent, and ethereal. It's like a contrast of things, isn't it? Darkness and beyond it and brightness. So both these, they are invoked that this is beyond darkness. This is so subtle, so sukshma, so smaller than smallest, and yet is widest. Excuse me. Inconceivable being whose golden radiance surpasses the sun. It is more brilliant than the sun also, and it is inconceivable. Now, how can we identify this? The formless one, which is what we can say, the atomic form that is holding everything material. Atom is very small, isn't it? So, inside of the atom, everything is there, is something it is trying to imply. Is it logical? Is it understandable? Is it conceivable? Krishna says not even conceivable at all. But poets have been able to conceive. Sant Tukaram, he had said, Anu Reniya Tukada Tuka Akasha Yoda. Smaller than Anu, smaller than the atom, smaller than Renu. So smaller than Anu, smaller than Renu, but wider than the skies. It is difficult to understand. How can what is smaller than the atom and yet become vaster than the skies? Well, go to a quantum physics, he will also tell you same story in a different manner. Over the years, evolution of quantum physics also is very clear. There is nothing smaller than the atom, isn't it? The most smallest existence is atom. Atom is the fundamental existence. You say Brahman, no, no, you people are all religious, ritualistic people. Don't say Brahman, say atom. And what should you say? It cannot be divided at all. Suddenly somebody comes and says, no, there are things there are subatomic particles. But how can you, means if you have a cake, you have a big cake, you can share it with 10 friends, isn't it? If you have 1/4 of a piece of cake, can you share it with 10 friends? No, you cannot cut it further and further and further. But now they are saying the most smallest of smallest things can be broken. They say there are subatomic particles. There are protons, neutrons, electrons. Okay, ठीक है, maybe we can break it into somehow somebody can One small piece of cake. Chalo, you each show one your forefinger. I'll keep a little bit cake on your. That way you can divide maybe. But then they didn't stop there. They went further. They further went into what we can say lower nano levels, further inside, deeper, deeper. You can say even before they went to femto level, after nano level, 10 power minus 15. So they went to saying that yes, there are now, they said these are also not everything. There are smaller than subatomic particles also are there, they said. Then they went to quark level. They said quarks are there. So when I was in school, that was something which was very cool and nice for all these physics enthusiasts, especially the quantum physicists. Now the youngsters are telling there are not just quarks, there are different types of quarks. They have classified quarks also. Up quark, down quark, color quark, side quark. In another 20, 30 years, they'll have another 70, 80 sub-classifications. So what are they doing? They're going deeper, 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 and we are seeing what is small is actually so deep inside and it is wide. It will appear wider than the skies. It will appear just like what Tukaram is told, isn't it? Anureniya Thokada, Tuka Akasha Yoda. He is bright. Tuka, in the sense, he's talking about his consciousness. Whenever the Tukaram's Abhanga go on, he keeps using the word Tuka. Tuka is not like that. It is like how Tulsidas, when he talks about himself, he's talking about the individual, but he's talking about a different state of consciousness also. So this is something. This is beautiful. Krishna is saying this is the brilliance of that Surya, that light, which is more powerful. Or if in the Rig Veda also we have told Sahasra Rashmi Shatadha Vartamanaha Purusha Prajana Mudete Surya. In front of that Rashmi or in Aditya Hridaya, it is said that Rashmimandam Samudyantam Devasur Namaskrutam Pujayami Vivaswantam Bhaskaram Bhuvaneshwaram. The Devas also bow to him and the Asuras also bow. All become flat in front of the strength of the divine. And the divine is only the rates. Like Usha Devi's job is that she consciousness and like how rays come, like that she pulls the rays towards the Surya, towards that light. It is mentioned in the Rig Veda. So something like that is what Krishna is talking about. And Krishna now talks about the Prayana Kala. He says, Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Bhruvor Pranamavesh Samyak Satam Param Purushamapaiti Divyam. So in the Prayana Kala, he who at the time of departure engages in my deliberation, his soul is powered by the force of his firm devotion. Yoga Bala is like a fuel for the soul. Tapo Bala, it is something like a kind of fuel, like a rocket needs fuel to take off, isn't it? Like that, in the life, what Yoga Bal or what Tapabal is cultivated, that is going to aid the journey, is what Krishna is saying. Yoga Balena. That is why Rishis also, they are not simply without reason doing tapasya and developing Yoga Bala because they want to do something. They are also aware of a conscious journey. Krishna says, bro or madhya, at the mystic seat between the brows by focusing his concentration he can verily attain my divine and supreme realization. He's saying, Krishna is saying, focusing at this point between the eyebrows. Have we heard this somewhere before? Yes, if yes, where? Anybody?
In the dhyana, first dhyana technique.
Yes, that technique, did Krishna say it was for good, smooth, happy journey after death, or what was it for? It was life journey only, isn't it? It was a making life journey happy, isn't it? So now when Krishna says one thing, we can see it's having multiple benefits also. One is not only are you going to enjoy your life, but you're going to understand and cultivate what is the ancient tantric practice of the yogis. Those yogis could raise their consciousness at different points. Actually, last Prayana Kala, people leave from one of the dwaras, it is said. Last moments you will see suddenly one of somebody's mouth is open because they left the gata pran, vayu have just left from the mouth. Otherwise, somebody with the eyes wide open, suddenly. Otherwise, it goes elsewhere. Other dwaras are also there. So one of those places, the prana escapes. But the yogi is conscious. Yogi is having the power to cultivate, and the yogi has the power to raise the consciousness to a particular place. So their departure also. It's like smooth landing, smooth takeoff, something like that. That is what is separating a yogi from a bhogi. Bhogi is going to be disturbed at all times, even at that moment also, like this, like that, or extreme fear. Extreme fear. Fear of what? You don't know. Or the property that I've had is not going to get transferred there. That realization may also come. So, what am I going to do then? Well, whatever it is, that is what Krishna is talking about. So, Yoga Bala, there is one more thing. One more benefit of focusing at this point is this is the seat of our Sushumna. This is the seat of our Viveka Buddhi. What is Viveka Buddhi? Ability to discriminate what is right and what is wrong from what is wrong. When do we need Vivek Buddhi? During investing in market shares.
Any
So yes,
decision
Vinitaji.
making.
Yes,
Any
ji?
decision making.
Yeah,
Any
correct.
decision making.
Yeah.
Okay. When do we have to make decisions according to Panchanga? According to what do we decide when to make decisions? Or it could be any time.
Anytime.
Anytime, isn't it? So at all times our Viveka should be Jagrut. So another reason to do dhyana. Let us not fear last moment and for all that purpose, but for becoming quiet, for becoming conscious, for developing this quietude. Because when you are able to understand no, what is Shreyas, what is Preyas, your biggest questions are over. And when you're able to understand that time, you are open to higher consciousness. This is also the seat of awakening. That time you will get ideas which are beyond your capacity of imagination also. You will might connect with the higher planes of consciousness and become receptive. It's like how earlier there used to be radios, isn't it? You have to tune into the right frequency and then you will get that channel. Something like that. Like that, you can do it. So that is why again Krishna is saying about that. He goes on further. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti विशन्ति यद्य तयो भीतरागाः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचार्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये. There is a science. There is a science of departure also in our Shastras. Krishna says, what the knowers of the Vedas preach of the imperishable infinite self that one must reach, the gnosis sought through ascesis by the sages and the celibate. That same knowledge to you, I shall now elucidate. Krishna is saying, I will tell you that same wisdom. I shall share you the same knowledge of what was realized by the great Vedic rishis who spent their time in tapasya. They sought the supreme Brahman and they conquered the realization of the Brahman by controlling themselves by their indriyas, by their sadhana, by their tapasya. Some of them spent an entire lifetime in brahmacharya. Why? Well, they had some understanding and they wanted to get the realization. Krishna says, I will share that knowledge to you. Is this cheating then? The brahmacharyas did so much brahmacharya tapasya and Krishna is just giving that to everybody. Knowledge, many people say, no, 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 knowledge should be exclusive. Only subscribers who are paying certain amount should get that knowledge. Is that true? No. No, knowledge is one. Even the brahmacharis would have wanted, they have what that is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina is only their entire prayer. Vedic rishis also, some gachadvam, some vajadvam. So Krishna says, I will share that knowledge. Pitama Bhishma had a knowledge, something about this departure. Anybody knows about it? They say he did not leave his body, he was waiting for something. What was it?
He was waiting for the Uttarayan to start.
Yes, Mintaji, perfectly said. Yes, one participant had once said he was waiting for Bhishma Ekadashi. Shiva Bhishma got named after him, but he was not. Chalo Panchanga I saw, so Bhishma Ekadashi will come, then I will leave. It is actually this knowledge that Uttarayan, meaning that particular period when the Prithvi's tilt is towards the sun. That time I will have a different journey. Maybe in the metaphysical realm or in the occult realm, a new pathway is opening up. He had that knowledge, and that is why he would like, I will bear a little bit more pain. I can. We will see what that knowledge is also, because Krishna says he is going to share it. We'll probably look at two more shlokas and stop. सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याध्यायात् मनः प्राणम् अस्थितो योगधारणम्. With all the sensory doors of the beings closed, the mind into the heart shut and firmly enclosed, focusing the life force of the body and raising it up to the head, meditating upon attaining the union with the Supreme Godhead. Krishna is saying this, that all the dwaras, they are closed. That is a sadhana of the yogis, how they would, their journey they would ensure. The mind and the heart, the dvandva between mind and heart also has stopped. Mind is saying one thing, heart is saying other thing. No more that fight has stopped. They have become friends, they have become one. What is in the heart is also in the mind. That quietude, focusing the life force of the body and raising it up to the sahasrara, raising it up to the head is what Krishna is saying. Meditate upon attaining the union with the Supreme Godhead. So this is what the yogis did at that last moment, at the Prayana Kala. We don't have to worry about it immediately. So it's a long-term thing, not to look at it right now, but still, this is a knowledge which Krishna is passing on. He says, Om iti etaksharam brahma vyavaharin ma manusmaran yah prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. By chanting Om, the singular syllable, the vibration of the primordial truth imperishable, remembering the overlord when the body he leaves behind, the highest status of the Supreme, he does find. Krishna is saying this. This yogis, means you can just imagine what Pitama Bhishma must have done at that time. Quietly raised his consciousness up to the Sahasrara, quietly, mind and no more dvandva, no more questions of what I did not do. It's all right, whatever wrong, accept my wrong. I did wrong here, what right was there, that also I did, but that also I'm not holding on to it. That mind and heart are no more fluctuating. There's only quiet shanti, peace inside. And slowly raising the consciousness. Krishna is saying, and then the chanting of Om. Why Om? Om is the pranava, isn't it? Pranavaha sarva vedeshu, Krishna told that. And Om is also a vehicle for consciousness. It is the primary vibe. It is a primary vibration. If our tongue were also cut off, we can still say Om. That is the syllable like that. Primary sounds, Uma. Anybody wants to check after class, hold your tongue. You can try saying that. You'll still be able to say that one sound clearly because that is the primary sound of creation. The Mandukya Upanishad beautifully describes same Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam tasyopa vyakhyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkarameva. Everything is Om. Om is only all is only Om. What's wrong with this Upanishad? Many people say when they read it. Because they don't understand what is it. Om is past, Om is present, Om is future. Well, go deeper, you will be able to understand. It talks about states of consciousness, four states. We all know of the three, Akara, Ukara, Makara. There's a fourth also. Fourth dimension is also there in that Upanishad. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vigneyaha means that quietude. Many times when mantras chanting are done, Between two mantras, there's a Shanti, isn't it? When the divine is there in that Shanti, we are always in a hurry. Quickly finish this 10, next 10, next 10, because I'm having a mala. I want to complete it so that I get punyai of this many chants. In that, we forget that quietude between the two mantras there, in that silence, it is there, is what Krishna is saying. So that is the realization of Om, is what Krishna. And it is beautiful. One small boy had once told me, Om sound, no, you can hear everywhere. I was like, really? How? My father told me. I said, Acha, please tell me how you can. Then you become very quiet. Go put your ear towards the building, you will hear the Om sound. So sincerely and so sweetly, he was saying, my God, this boy is probably hearing it also because he's become so quiet inside. Well, that sound we should probably, when they say Shruti, Shruti is what? Heard, no? How many times are we going to hear mantras in repeat mode in our mobile phones? When are we going to hear from the direct planes? It can be heard. Mantras are heard. For our trust, Midam, that mantra actually, the Amliji heard it. That is why that has been used. It was in the Dhyana so many years back, 27 years or maybe more. And for that to manifest also, it took so many years. So that is an entire journey, but we should become receptive. We should be able to hear. So Krishna says, somebody who chants Om. So again, Om is something which is special. Dhaneshwar Maharaj had also talked about Om only. In Maharashtra, they consider Ganesha as the symbol of Om only. Akara, Charana Yugula, Ukara, Udara Vishala, Makara, Mahamandala, Mastaka, Kari. The Om is itself Sri Ganesha. Ganesha is who? God of learning. He sits, he is there at the gates of knowledge, like Ma Saraswati, waiting to give us all the strength. So this Om is the syllable. So in the last moments, that is why many people are engaged in japa also. Very senior elder, continuous japa. Nitya japa. One person I know was always in a state of japa that her tongue started developing a sweet taste. Always a sweetness. She's getting some taste of sweetness, is what I was very surprised. How is it possible? Well, that is sadhana. Sadhana will give you siddhi. You don't do sadhana for the sake of siddhi. Siddhis come on their own. And great yogis don't give importance to siddhi also. They say, yeah, forget it. Not required. I don't need that. I didn't do it for that. I'll continue my sadhana whether I get it or not. So this is something Krishna has talked about. There is a science. That science Krishna is going to share. He just shared one thing right now about yogis. Yogis who have become conscious. They try to ensure that suddenly the pranavayu doesn't quickly escape like that. Instead, let it raise and go quietly in that high state of consciousness. So, with this, we conclude today's session. Can someone summarize some of the things we saw? So, we conclude with a Shanti mantra. Yes, anybody? No question, Anuradhaji. Yes, it is the summary that we have at the end, no? Whoever can recollect. That depends on if my session was not good, it might take it might be difficult to summarize. But
I,
otherwise, if
I
anything,
I would like to say only two sentences from a bhajan.
yes, sir.
इतना तो करना स्वामी जब
जब
प्राण
प्राण
तन से निकले
से निकले
गोविंद नाम लेकर तब प्राण तन से निकले
हाँ हाँ हाँ
गोविंद की अगर छवि है जाते वक्त तो सब स्मूथ ही स्मूथ है किसी
yes
प्रकार
yes
का
yes
कोई
sir
प्रॉब्लम नहीं है
absolutely Ravi ji yes sir thank you for that beautiful sharing of that Bhakti Geet. Yes, anybody would like to add some of the points that we covered so we can quickly then conclude with a Shanti mantra. I hope it was not that bad. Yes, please. Something. It doesn't have to be in a sequence also. We'll just piece together little points, whichever we can recollect. Anybody?
So
Yeah,
Krishna
Vaishali.
mentions about meditation. Sir, actually, this was a too heavy topic to understand, very
Ji,
honestly. But
ji,
some things which I concluded is we should always have his name. We should always do Smaran.
ji.
That is what I understood from yesterday and today.
Yes,
But today was a
yes,
little
ji.
bit heavy to digest.
Okay,
And then
okay, ji.
3 points of devotion, consecration, and concentration. These will help
Ha,
us
ha.
to merge into supreme consciousness. And also, explains how yogis are during their last moments and how they are controlling the what we say
Yeah,
the
journeys.
journeys, yes, towards the end.
Ji, ji.
With the what is it called, yoga ball.
Yoga Bala. Yoga
Yeah.
Bala. Yes,
um
absolutely. Yes, yeah.
and yeah, I think these were my takeaway points from today.
They're actually the most important ones and covered completely on you almost. And then we had Rajni Maji giving a beautiful explanation of her
Hmm.
experience of how her father, we see the last moment also, that quietude, and that is a mark of a yogi. That is the symbol of a tapasvi. Shanti. I think Shanti can be there at all times of life also, isn't it? Krishna has also told, Ashantasya kuta sukham. Where will you get
Hmm.
happiness without Shanti? When you are with your loved ones, do you want Shanti or Ashanti? Do you want We want Shanti only.
Shanti, Shanti.
They, Shanti, yes, ji. When you are with people you don't like who are disturbing you, that time also, what do you want? You want Shanti only, isn't it? There also you don't want Ashanti. You want, like, I don't want to get disturbed by this person. So at all times, I think if we can connect with the divine, Krishna says there will be no fear. Let it come when it has to. My teacher had actually seen, he said, according to Bhrugu Samhita, this is my last, this period. I was like, oh my God, what is it? He was like, that is according to Bhrugu Samhita. That is all he said. My lifeline is ending at this particular place. Beyond that, it is not there, is what he told. It was a little difficult for me to digest. I had just joined it 4 years, 5 years, 25 maybe that time my age was, and 25, 26, and it was a little difficult. But he was also calm. Now, so many years have happened after that statement also, and that time also has crossed. The divine will decide. It's not our job to suddenly, because we study. Some people have that habit. There was one travel agent. He was a driver. He said, "I know to see the exact date of death. I can tell." I said, "Wow." Said, so many people have told. And while he was saying, he was feeling pressured. I said, will you look at mine and say? He's like, no, I'll not. And he walked away. But he was having a lot of pressure. But sometimes he said, I have seen mine also, his own. And he's under pressure about what's going to happen. I didn't ask him. He didn't tell me. He didn't want to talk. But that is not required. I feel we don't have to know that at all. What do we need to know is we need to know how to live. No, that is more important. Throughout our life, if we are conscious, it doesn't matter. It has to come, it will come. It can come today, it can come tomorrow, it can come after so many years also. Whatever is the divine wish. But the state of mind, that quietude, Krishna says, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmara Yuddhacha. Going to meet your friend, remember the divine. Going to meet your foe, remember the divine. Going to do some work, remember the divine. Favorite work, remember the divine. Least favorite work, remember the divine. Wrong work, that time also remember the divine, you will not do the wrong work. Like there was one thief, he went to steal, and suddenly he realized and he said, like this namaskar and went. But unfortunately, it was not divine. He saw a CCTV camera and did pranams to the CCTV camera. and went away. But that is also some Smaran where Vivek Buddhi has brought him in the right direction. So Smaran is important. Smaran is always done by yogis, and because of that, their journey is smooth. One more thing we see about dhyana, it will help us in life. Who knows, it's going to help in the life post-life journey as well, is what it looks. Because yoga bala is cultivated. Like a means what happens is our sharira is left behind, but the Atman moves ahead. And where is it going? How is it going? What is it? We don't know, but it requires some force. Why? Because probably the Gurutva Akarshan or gravity is very strong. So even subtle bodies also are governed by the forces, just as very sthula or like rockets leave the atmosphere, they need to have some fuel, isn't it? Some force, no? They have the fuel which propels the rocket outwards. Then there is this force of attraction, what we call this, the velocity, escape velocity has to be surpassed. Then only the rocket will leave the dimension. Something like that in our life also, with our sadhana, with our nirantan chintan, manan, japa, we have to cultivate that consciousness. So with this, let us see what Krishna is going to share to Arjuna. We conclude now with the Shanti mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं जय श्री कृष्ण पुनर्मिलामः हरि ओम
Hari Om.
हरि ओम नमस्कार If there are no questions, I'll conclude the session.